All right.
Now is better than the present. What?
Now is better than the present?
He needs to introduce our episodes from now on.
He does. I'm one of the dudes. I'm so lame. He's gone.
The whole club was formed in 1878, so it's been... You good?
Yeah.
Oh no! It's frozen!
Oh, no! Hi!
Hi! Welcome!
Welcome to the Dudes with the Moods.
We are the
How
dudes!
are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. How's your mood?
Pretty good. I had a good day. It was chill. I didn't do much. Well, I went out for like food, made a food Instagram account because I just love food so much. And
plug that. What? At what?
Huh? Oh,
Plug
that.
that.
Kacie eats.
Woo!
They're not gonna know how to spell Kacie. It's fine.
Okay.
You can look it up on this thing. What did you do today?
Well, my mood is a little weird today. I have been thinking about cults and secret societies.
It's fun. It's fun to think about. I've also been thinking about cults and secret societies.
Weird.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Let's do this. So goofy. Okay, Taylor, it is all you whenever you want to let it all out. Let us hear what you learned.
So one of the things that I've been thinking about is the FLDS, Fundamentalist Church of the Latter-day Saints. It's a little bit different.
That's a mouthful.
Yes. It's a lot darker. There's like the regular Latter-day Saints, and that's like Mormons, like ethical Mormons and everything.
Stuff. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
But when you add the F, the fundamentalists, they're a little crazy. They're a whole different subdivision of the Mormons.
Okay. Is this something the Mormons like say we are not a part of this?
I'm pretty yes. Okay. Yes. They're like
I'm glad.
Okay, so they have this little what's it called? Okay, so they have their own little city in Colorado City, Arizona.
Oh, Colorado City, Arizona.
I know. America's weird. We got Kansas City, Arkansas, and I think there's some other state city in Kansas. Whatever. This bitch failed the geography, B.
I failed geography too. So we all did. Who knows about geography? Fuck that. Like, I'm just gonna, no, we're good. All right.
So they are centralized in Colorado City, Arizona. We have Mr. Rulon Jeffs. I'm pretty sure he put it all together, and he was like, I'm gonna marry everyone.
Okay.
And so
he had a problem.
He had a problem.
And he was set out to solve this problem. I'm sorry, go on. I'll stop.
Okay, so they have this little city. We got the leader. He's a prophet, self-proclaimed prophet. So everybody has to listen to him because he's like, well, Jesus said, like, he said you have to marry me. You're only 14. That doesn't matter.
Oh God, no. Bad.
Yes.
Oh,
so
bad.
They weren't allowed to be around the outside world, and they all dressed like pilgrims with their little like caps and their like buns and giant skirts and stuff.
All pretty much had to dress the same, that kind of thing. Be one of everyone. Everyone was the same. That kind of thing.
And then Rulon died, so Warren Jeffs took over. That was his son, and he did the same thing. He had like 80 wives, and a lot of them were children, like 12, 13, 14.
Ugh,
It's
that's so bad.
disgusting. And I don't know how accurate this is, but I think for the longest time, no, the government couldn't arrest him or do anything about it because they were like, it's our religion and we have separation of church and the state.
Ugh. No.
Yes. But finally, I don't know how they got around that. Finally, he got arrested. I think it was only 2 counts of sexually assaulting a minor.
2 of 80. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yes.
God.
He got 2 counts. He's still in prison. And there's a lot of misinformation. So Warren Jeffs is in prison still. And there are reports that he still controls, like he still gives messages to those people and like tells them what to do. I don't know, it's just weird. But there is a lot of misinformation. Like people have researched it and they've gone in there, like little things people have said, like they're not allowed to wear red, but they're being filmed like wearing red and stuff. So it's hard to tell with this, like what's true and what's not. But we do know that he married a bunch of children and now he is in prison.
Yeah, and that's never a good thing. He should definitely be in prison. Probably for longer than he is. Hopefully, I don't know. Did he get a life sentence? Do you know?
I'm not sure what his sentence is. Hopefully, it's life
Hopefully
sentence.
A long time. I don't know what the sentence is for that, but
hopefully a lot. Hopefully, even if it's not life, hopefully he's getting some punishment in there too.
Right. I mean, most of the time, pedophiles and stuff, like, they get messed up in prison. Like,
I love it. The worst of the worst people in prison, they're like, they
all agree
pedophiles.
On one thing. Like, exactly. Yeah.
This isn't really relevant, but I remember vaguely hearing a few years ago that a few of them down in Colorado City got busted for like food stamp fraud. I don't know. So there's that too.
So they're all criminals in some way.
Yes.
God.
That's one of the small ones I've been thinking about. What about you?
The smaller one that I'm going to be talking about today is Bohemian Grove.
Okay.
I don't know. Have you ever heard of it?
It sounds vaguely familiar. I think I've heard the name. I don't know anything about it.
I feel a lot of people have heard the name. I personally did not before I listened to this one podcast about it, but it's basically... Okay, first I'm going to go into what it is. That's like what my whole big first thing is. So it's a 2,700 acre campground. And it's weird that it's super secretive. Like it's like people know where it is, but you can't really get into it. But they have like an exact address. It's a 2,700 acre campground at 20601 Bohemian Avenue in Monterey, California. Sorry if I said that wrong. I'm not from California.
You've offended Californians.
Right. They're all like, we're done. No dudes. It's a private San Francisco-based gentleman's club. Basically, it's like a 2-week encampment of the most prominent men in the world. So it has attendees from all over the world. It's invite only. There are people on like a giant waiting list to get in. And I'm talking like people die on this waiting list. Like it's crazy long. It's like a $25,000 initiation fee for when you do get in. It's like insane. And like, some of the attendees include like artists, musicians, prominent business leaders, government officials, former US presidents, just people of power, basically. And it's all male, so women are not allowed. It is a boys only club.
No girls allowed.
How that goes. Exactly. They have signs up and everything, like Their motto is "Weaving spiders, come not here," which sounds really freaking creepy, right?
Yeah, yes,
That's
extremely.
so many implications onto what that could mean. Like, they say it just means that they're not allowed to conduct business there. It's more of just like I don't know, where boys go to have fun, but
I don't believe it.
exactly. So that's the whole thing. It's like you have all of the most important people in the world in one place for 2 weeks, and you expect deals and shit like not to go down there. Like, stuff's gonna be, people are gonna talk, and like things are gonna happen behind closed doors, and yeah, we'll get into more of that later. But that is a lot of the controversy around it, is because everything's so secretive.
Do we know or have any like guesses as to what they are doing in there?
Yeah, so there's a lot of guesses.
Oh god.
There's what they say happens there, which is, you know, it's kind of lame. And the guesses, like the ones that I could find, are a lot. They're from like people that are kind of controversial themselves. Alex Jones.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm not, like, I don't want to say everything these people say is true.
right.
But it's definitely interesting, and you know, could be. You never know. We'll see. But one of the okay, you know how I said business wasn't conducted there?
Yeah.
Well, do you know the Manhattan Project? The Manhattan Project is what led to the atom bomb being developed.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so the atom bomb, basically, that whole thing at the Bohemian Club. But it was formed in 1878, so it's been around for a very long time, and it's only gotten weirder over the years. The club's patron saint is John of Nepomuk. Yeah, there's a statue of him made out of wood, with his finger over his lips. Tell me that's
Oh
not fucking
god.
weird.
That
Like,
is
I
weird
think
as
that's
shit.
yeah, I think that's supposed to be like the whole like business thing, like whatever, but that seems just like, like they're trying to say, don't say what happened, like what happens in the Grove stays in the Grove.
Right.
It's creepy. Um, their mascot is an owl, and they have I'll get more into this later, but they have like this giant wooden statue, or like statue made of something, but it's of a giant owl, and they do like ceremonies and shit in front of it, and like sacrifice things to it. Weird.
Sacrifice what?
That's
People?
one of the controversies. Yeah, hold your horses. So only 4 women in history have been allowed as members. The last one that was a member was in 1928. So
Ooh.
it's been a very long time.
What's so special about these women?
Honestly, I don't know. It's weird to me too. Like, they didn't say much about like who these women were or whatever. So I get they had to be something special to get like access into the club. But there was uh, a trial that was held against the club for not allowing women to be a part of it, not allowing women to work there, things like that, a whole discrimination thing. And the judge tried to dismiss it because men urinate in the open. And that was the whole, like, they were like, yeah, he was
What
like,
does that have to do with it?
exactly. He was just like saying it's not a place for women because men urinate everywhere. They whip out their,
They're just pissing everywhere all the time. You don't even want to be there.
Basically. Oh god. And the club literally tried to get the decision reversed several times. Whoever made the case against them, they won, and so women were allowed to actually work there and stuff. Not be members, work there though.
Just work there. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how they justified only men being members, but yeah. So whatever. Anyways.
Whatever.
Okay. So in 2000, entry was made with a hidden camera by Texas-based filmmaker Alex Jones. He got inside. And this is actually true. Like, he did get inside. There's, like, pictures and film and stuff. I personally haven't seen it but there's been a lot of, like, more reputable sources that have seen it and confirmed that he did, in fact, get inside. And this is where he filmed the ceremony, the opening one, where a coffin is burned beneath a 40-foot statue of the owl, in deference to the surrounding redwood trees. So it's like a sacrifice of nature and stuff. It's really weird. Alex Jones trying to say that they sacrificed an actual child to this owl. And I honestly don't believe him just because of how controversial he is. And I think he's just saying things to get, like, stirring the pot kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
good attention.
anyways, that's what he said he saw. But it's just because it was like it's a baby-sized coffin, like a small coffin that they, like, sacrifice, I guess.
But what if there was a kid in there?
Exactly. No one really, really knows. I mean, anything could be true. It's weird how secretive this club is. I'm surprised Alex Jones was even able to get in. But
how did he get in?
So he said that he
was on the list, wasn't he? He was waiting for that.
Right. Years. He went as a kid on that list. No, he said that he just, like, he followed some road and then went through, like, this swamp area and then climbed over this fence and then got on the truck where they were bringing members in and stuff, and just kind of, like, infiltrated this group of people that were, like, part of the group. But if he, like, crawled through a swamp and shit, he would be dirty as fuck. Like, how'd you get on that group of people that have all this money and look nice, looking like a damn monster? Mud monster.
Maybe he thought about that. He put some baby wipes and a clean pair of clothes in a Ziploc bag so it didn't get wet.
A big ass Ziploc bag.
The biggest.
Talking like 40-gallon bag. I'm sorry. But yeah, so I don't know. That's what he says he saw. There's video of it, and it's just one of those things. Okay.
Really interesting.
Rolling back to 1989, a journalist by the name of Philip Weiss, entered into the Grove with the help of Mary Moore. She put him in contact with a mountain guide that kept his methods of entry a secret. So we don't know how they got in, but apparently it was just, I don't know, this mountain guide that knew how. Once in, he dressed the part, infiltrated a group. He was there for 7 days out of the 16-day encampment. He was able to attend speeches and songs. They had elaborate drag shows because there's all these men. So, sometimes what?
They just gotta see some women every now and again.
Exactly. There was toast and something called pre-breakfast gin fizzes, which I frankly wish I was a part of. That sounds fancy as hell.
I'm down. I want to join.
So yeah, the first Saturday that he got in, he attended the opening ceremony, and he wrote that a column of hooded figures carrying torches emerged solemnly from the woods 100 yards away, bearing a corpse down to the water. Again, like, I don't know who this guy is or, like, what his credibility is. I just know he's a journalist and stuff like that. But it's creepy. I mean, you have more than one person saying they got in and saw, like, them making a sacrifice, and I just think that's the weirdest shit. The opening ceremony is called the Cremation of Care, by the way. It's weird. It's supposed to be, like,
That's the one for the nature?
Yeah, for the nature. Yeah, it was dumb.
Okay.
And that was actually the last thing that was of Philip Weiss, his whole thing was really weird and hard to read because it didn't have like a whole lot of information. It was really poetic in a way. Not poetic in a good way, just like it was poetic, like reading it like he was like used a lot of descriptive words like to say how he was feeling, but not really any information onto what was going on. So it was just like it was weird.
I feel
it was
like
hard to, yeah.
that probably makes it less credible. It's probably
Little
just
bit, yeah.
using a bunch of filler words and shit just to take space, but also still write about something crazy and controversial. Get his name out there.
Basically, there was this History Channel. It's called Brad Meltzer's Decoded. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
No.
But there was a whole segment on the Bohemian Grove, and he had like two of his people try to get in. Three of his people tried to get in, and they brought along Alex Jones because he was like the only one they knew of that had actually been inside.
Yeah.
And they went down this river that kind of was on the side of the grove, and the river is public, so you can go down the river. Just once you get on land, that becomes private property. So they got to the edge of the grove and they tried to sneak in, and they technically got in, but then immediately they saw like guards and stuff, and they were taken away, and two of them were arrested, and Alex Jones, of course, and one of the people got away. So when they went to go pick up the two people that had gotten in from the police station, it was really weird. They spent the whole episode talking about how controversial and weird and how much they wanted to know about it. And then when they got out of the police station, they were like, they deserve their privacy. No big deal. Like, and I was like, something fucking happened. Like, that's weird as shit. Like,
oh
I
my
don't
God.
understand. So it's like, yeah. So that was really, really, really weird to me. That's
scary, kinda. What did they do to them in there?
Exactly. They literally spent, and I don't know, maybe the whole show, it was just, more exciting to be like, oh, it's controversial, just to let us down in the end. But I was like, the fuck is this? So we don't really, yeah. There's not much information onto what actually goes in there, just a lot of speculation. But it's very interesting and a little scary to know that a lot of the deals and stuff that, happens behind closed doors at this 2-week summer camp for fucking powerful people.
For men.
For men of all, yeah. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. That's really bizarre.
The last thing I will say is that they say a lot of the decisions on who's going to be president are made there. Like who's running and who is going to run and stuff like that is made there, which makes you think it's weird because it's like, what?
Is this why Kanye has never gotten very far in his campaign?
He hasn't been to the Bohemian Grove. Like,
he needs to go, Kanye.
He's not gonna get in. He's not gonna get in. Do you see a bunch of like these like weird, powerful people wanting to listen to Kanye? I don't think they.
You never know. I don't know them. You don't know them. They might like Kanye.
Okay. Well, maybe. Maybe you should write him a letter and be like, Kanye, you need to go here. He's too much of a loose end.
You're right. They wouldn't tell him anything.
Oh God. Yeah, well that's a small amount on the Bohemian Grove.
That's really weird.
Yeah.
So it's like a real thing for sure, but we just don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, it's a real life, I don't know if you call it a secret society or what you would call it. I would call it a secret society, Yeah. It's not too much of a secret, like everyone knows it's there, but it's just no one knows what goes on and you have to be invited and stuff like that. And we'll never be there, so.
Right. It makes me want to go. I'm curious as fuck.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. Yeah.
That is weird.
Well, what you got for us next, Taylor? Let's move on from presidents and political shit. What you got?
Well, have you heard of the Jonestown Massacre?
I've heard of it.
Okay.
I don't know much about it, so I'm excited to learn.
Okay, so we've got Jim Jones here. And from a small child, he liked to preach, and he would hold like church sessions in his backyard for the neighborhood kids, and everyone loved it because he was so charismatic and he was good at it. And then I know he was like, I love this attention. I love that they love me like this.
Oh, God.
Okay. So he actually did that his whole life. He was like, I'm a preacher or a reverend or something. I don't know. And he actually founded his own temple in 1955, the People's Temple. And that's where things started to go south. He started like staging like fake healings of sick people. He would like people that would have cancer, like legitimately have cancer, and they weren't in on it. They would go up and he would be like, I'm gonna take your cancer out. And they're like, okay. And so he used like sleight of hand, like a magician. He would have like animal organs in his hands, and he'd be like, here's the tumor. You're cancer free.
Ew. God. I didn't know. So, that's fucking nuts. So
yeah, so that really added to his power, because these people that weren't in on it, they were like, holy shit, that's my tumor, not knowing any better. So they were believers. It made so many people believers. It's bizarre. And then a lot of, I don't really know the details of this very much, but I know that a lot of people did leave the temple with accusations of him being manipulative, using mind control and sex control and all this crazy shit, and people were like, I don't want to be a part of that. But I couldn't find a whole lot of information on that part.
Okay.
But I just think
people are probably scared to talk, you know?
And so this is going on to like the mid-50s throughout the 60s. Okay, I feel like this is important. I couldn't find any like actual factual links to this, but 60s, Vietnam. People were pissed about Vietnam, right? People wanted something good. People wanted something to believe in. And then there's this guy who he's preaching socialist ideals as well as Christian stuff. So they're like, wow, he's perfect.
Sounds great.
Like, yes. And so these people are vulnerable to this sort of thing, I think.
Yeah, no, they're definitely just like desperate for anything better than their current situation, I'm sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
So this is going on for a while. And then in the mid-70s, is 1977 actually, he decided he was going to take like 1,000 people, and well, whoever wanted to come, it ended up being about 1,000, to Guyana, South America, and make his own city called Jonestown, because he was clearly very creative.
Right. It's all about him. He loves that attention.
I told you. So we've got Jonestown. People are living there. They live like off the grid. It's like a commune. But shit wasn't good there. There's reports of Jim Jones having been on drugs and just having a bunch of addictions like the entire time. So even taking away the fact that he was clearly insane, like add the drugs onto that. You don't know what he's gonna do. All right. Yeah. So there's that. And they're in Jonestown. A lot of people aren't having a good time because they were basically held captive, but they thought they originally were there like at their own free will. And so they didn't realize that they were being starved into submission and preached to. And like, if he would preach the same stuff all the time about how, back in the States, bad there. You don't want to go back there. You're here with
Right.
me. I love you. Blah, blah, blah. You hear that all the time, every day. Your mind's not working right because you're hungry and you're hot. They believe it after a while.
Do
And
they have any contact with the outside, or is it just like
no.
okay? So they really
Well,
don't know what's going on in the world around them,
right.
right?
They have no idea. They're on the news and everything, but they don't know it because their family members are worried about them.
Right.
I think some of the like higher up people were allowed
Mhm.
to have phones, but they didn't want to contact the
Right.
outside, you know?
Right. They were brainwashed. I get it.
Yes. And he would even hold these he would call them white knights. There would be a siren. He'd go over the speaker saying, white knight, white knight. People would wake up and they would have to go to like the main building there.
Okay.
It was supposed to be like an extreme emergency call.
Okay.
Okay. Like a natural disaster or something, or here's what we got to do. It's a life or death situation. But most of them were fake, like just they
Like
were like,
practice, like
yes, either practice, or I feel like a lot of it would be when he would, I think, I don't know if he's ever been diagnosed as bipolar, but I think he was. So I think a lot of those would have happened during his manic episodes, you know?
that makes
And
sense.
so he,
Yeah.
well,
Can the drugs make that happen? Can drugs make you bipolar? Like, can
no,
they? No. Okay, I didn't know
I don't
if
think
that was like
so.
a drug-induced type of thing.
They
But
could definitely affect your like long-term thought process and all that though.
okay, well, that makes sense too. But gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought it was really interesting that, well, he would preach for hours every single time. It could be like the middle of the night and he would just be preaching, just rambling.
Oh, God.
Okay. So they were also lacking sleep. That's another control technique.
Yeah. Make everyone zombies. Jesus.
Exactly. And there were even times that they rehearsed mass suicide, but like
They rehearsed mass suicide.
yes,
How do you rehearse
Jim
that?
Jim Jones would be like, here's the Kool-Aid. We gotta go now. And then everybody would drink it, and then he'd be like, you're
Just kidding.
alive. Ha ha ha.
JK.
And it
Wow.
was a test of like their loyalty and their faith in him.
Oh, God.
And they all fucking passed. I don't know. And then in 1978, people were really worried about their family members. So a congressman, some of the media, and certain family members came to the island just to check things out and be like, are you okay? Like, how are things going here? You can leave with us if you want.
Right.
But I don't know how, but they got warning of that was going to happen. So Jim Jones made everybody rehearse what they were going to say, and he would pass or fail them.
Oh, God.
He would make sure they're saying like, love it here, there's nothing bad here, everybody's happy. I don't want to go back.
No. Just,
I know.
God, that's bad. Okay.
Yeah. And he actually called another white knight about this, and he was trying to tell everybody, like, don't go back. Don't even talk to the family members if they're here. Like, even if they're your family, like, you don't want to see them. They want you to go back to that bullshit outside world over there. That's bad news. Like, it's miserable in America right now. He would lie to them and say, like, they're building concentration camps for Black people, and women are losing their rights again.
Jesus. I
And
can
they
only imagine
believe.
hearing this stuff without, like, when you don't have contact with the outside world, it's hard not to believe something, especially if you're tired, if you're hungry. You think this man is fucking, like, godly, like, Jesus Christ.
Yes. It's scary. I don't like it. I'm glad I wasn't alive at this time. But there was a small group of people who were very open with each other about how they want to get the fuck out. They're like, we gotta go. So they obviously knew that the congressman and all these people were coming. So they wrote a note. They wrote down their names. I think the note only consisted of their names and help us leave Jonestown. And he like snuck it to one of the people, one of the outsiders.
Yeah.
And that guy got it to the congressman, and the congressman was like, oh, okay, so people do want to leave. Let's
Get him out of
go.
here. Right.
Go on, get. And so as that was happening, more people were coming forward about wanting to leave.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like, leaving probably sounds pretty good to them.
Right, but put it in perspective, there were about 1,000 people there. 15 people wanted to leave.
Okay.
15.
Right, okay.
And so Jones had no choice but to be like, okay, you can go. Goodbye. However, he sent out an infiltrator that wanted to leave.
Okay.
Okay. So he was with them. Okay, they were all getting on the plane. Well, no, not yet, actually. I'm sorry. They actually, before they left, the plane was far away from them. They had to drive a truck to informant. But before the truck left to the plane, they tried to take down the congressman. They tried to kill him, but they failed. And so Congressman was like, all right, we got it. We got to go on, let's go.
We got to go. Jesus. Was it just one infiltrator among the group of people leaving that you know of?
That I know of.
Okay.
But it was also Jim Jones's people that were driving them back to the plane.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Scary.
So, yes. So these people were wanting to leave. They were leaving, and Jones was losing control, which was his whole thing. He just wanted the control, and he couldn't handle not losing it. So what does he do? He orders the people by the plane to shoot everybody. That's why we got that infiltrator. They have guns.
No!
They told everybody that they didn't. They told the outside world there were no guns. It's not allowed. We're not violent. There's no need for that.
Oh, God. As soon as they lose control, he's like, fire! And just like, oh, okay.
15 people wanted to go. So.
Unstable man.
Extremely. And at that same time is when he put out the order, the actual order. Oh. It is time to drink. Oh. It was like a mix of cyanide and sedatives. So this is simultaneously happening, I believe, as far as how I understood it. They attacked the people that wanted to leave. I think 5 of those people died, including the congressman.
Oh, the congressman did die?
He got shot, yeah.
Oh, no. He was just trying to help those poor people.
I know. It was messed up. And some of the family members and some of the people that were trying to leave died. And yeah, so that happened, and then he didn't tell the people, like his people that wanted to stay yet, that they were dead. So he was like, look guys, this is about to get bad. That man thinks that this is a bad place. So a bunch of people from the US are going to come here and do terrible things. They're going to take your kids away.
Which is a lie.
It's a huge lie. I mean, well, I would hope they took the kids away at least.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, he's definitely using that as a scare tactic, you know?
Absolutely. He's like, this is all over. Like, they might kill us. We don't know what's going to happen, but we might as well just go ourselves.
Right.
And then there are reports that they started with the babies, syringing the Kool-Aid cyanide mixture into their mouths.
Oh no!
Yes. Quote, they're not crying from the pain. It's just a little bitter tasting. Messed up.
That is messed up.
He was preaching this whole time, and there's a recording of it. You can listen to it online, and it is
scary.
sad.
I don't know if I could listen to that.
I didn't listen to the whole thing.
Well, that would hurt my heart.
Yes, you hear these people dying in the background, and you hear him saying, "It's okay. It's better than what's on the other side." We shouldn't be crying leaving this world. We should be crying coming into this world, somebody said.
Oh my God.
Yes. And so the children and people that were hesitant were being force-fed this stuff, or shot, or injected with the stuff. And the whole time, Jim's just encouraging people. He's like, it's not my choice. It's just what we have to do. What the government would do would be way worse than death.
Oh, no. God.
So while this is happening, there was a mother and her 2 young kids and 1 adult daughter. They were at like the temple headquarters. So they weren't there. They didn't have any of the stuff with them. So the mom, how graphic should I be?
Graphic as you need to be to get the message across.
She slashed the throats of the 2 young children because everybody had to die. And
I thought you were gonna say she like got away or something, but
no, she didn't want to get away. She was part of the mission.
Oh no.
She slashed their throats, and then her and her adult daughter simultaneously slashed each other's throats. Isn't that like how?
My God. Yeah, that's Jesus Christ.
So
like if one of them had hesitated, then it would just be like, I just did that.
That'd be awkward.
Not that these are good people anyways, but like the fuck.
Right. So some people like did escape in the jungle, and that's how we know a lot of these details, and some people hid like under beds and stuff. So they would survive, but including the people on the plane, there were 918 casualties.
Oh my God. So basically almost all of them. Jesus.
Yeah. 304 of them were children. And these are also
I can't believe 1/3 of the entire group of people that were there were fucking kids that their parents like brought them.
They probably didn't bring them. Not all of them. A lot of them were born there.
Oh, so it had yeah, I get you.
Because they'd been here for a couple of years.
That makes sense. Okay.
And Jim Jones himself, he couldn't drink it. He was looking at the agony these people were going through. So he decided he needed to be shot in the head. But he couldn't even do that himself either. He had to have somebody else shoot him in the head because he was too much of a fucking pussy.
God. I mean, I don't know. At least it didn't. Well, okay. I'm not gonna. Yeah. Nah, that's bad. Bad.
I don't know. I have strong feelings about that fact.
I get it. I just feel like I don't want to say like someone else got the satisfaction of like ending Jones because it was someone who was also like
he was doing
drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yes, right. That's where that term comes from.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty
drinking
sure.
The Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
Just from that?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm learning so much tonight.
It doesn't matter that I didn't know what the Manhattan Project was.
Oh God.
But no, and there's pictures of like everybody just like in piles, and it's just so like heart-wrenching, and it's I don't know. I just think it's crazy, and a lot of this. Well, I think, no, like everybody that went there had to think that they were going there for something good, for something pure.
Yeah, so that one of the things that I'm going to be talking about later, like one of the lines, is that no one goes into a cult. Like, no one joins a cult knowing it's a cult. Like, they always join a good thing. And so,
Yeah.
it's always
Yeah.
something. It's never what it's seen, or it's, you know, it's just different than what it starts out to be.
I gotcha. I just think it's so sad.
That is sad. It sucks. There's that many people that are just like, you know, so brainwashed, and what can you do? You can't. It's really hard to unbrainwash someone after they just like all their life values are now like
they're about Jones.
Exactly. And,
he was also a self-proclaimed prophet, so that's another reason that they listened to him so openly.
Right. It's crazy. I mean, people are just weird, you know? They'll believe anything if it means that there's something maybe better for them on the other side. You know what I mean? Sometimes, I'm not saying everyone's that gullible, but, and maybe it's not even about being gullible. It's just like having the right things said to you. You know what I mean?
Right. And I just think it was a perfect storm because so many people, specifically at that time, were so anti-government because of Vietnam. It was a very controversial time. And also racism. It was the 60s, it was the 70s. Yeah. So they have this person saying to them, like, I love everybody, we all love each other, and we all want to be socialists. We're not going to be anything like this. It's going to be fucking heaven over here in Guyana. Like,
there's just all these strings attached that no one really understood.
Yes, like, it's just so, it doesn't make sense, but it does. Like,
it just makes sense how people
can happen.
Exactly, like, and it's happened time and time again, obviously. Like, you know, you can go to fucking Google and look up cults and you get all of these, like, just things. And no one, like we said, it doesn't start out that way. It just becomes something really bad. You know?
But I feel like they're usually started by some bad person.
Yeah,
who's just, like, convincing them that it's a good thing. Because he was not a good person.
That's a good point. Yeah, no, that's a very good point. It's always started that, yeah.
I think he was also, like, violent and, like, raping people on the island, too. Is it an island? I don't know if it's an island, but in Jonestown.
Right.
Like, that was happening, too.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't see, you know, and, I mean, these people might not have even thought about it as being, like, this violent thing that was happening to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying I feel like, you know, anything that happened there was just like,
they were probably like, this is supposed to happen.
Exactly.
My bad.
My heart's breaking for all these people. It sucks they died thinking they were, like, dying for a good cause, too. Yeah. We all know the truth today. But
right. They thought, like, people were putting this poison in their own kids' mouths thinking that it was doing what they needed to do to protect their kids.
Right. They didn't want them seeing this bad, bad world that was on the outside. Crazy. Good story, though. Good job. That was super interesting. All right. My next story, which is a doozy, a long one, is have you ever heard of DOS?
No.
It's a more recent one, which is kind of interesting. I'll tell you this, it all came crumbling down, I think, in 2017. So that's how recent it is.
That's very recent.
Okay. So, have you ever heard of a company called NXIVM? NXIVM? Why it's a V? I don't know.
No, I was thinking of NXIVM, like the pill.
I forgot about that, but yeah. So, it's funny, when I was first, like, looking this up and stuff, I'm glad I watched that show called The Vow. It's all about this, because I didn't know it's pronounced NXIVM, and I thought it was a bunch of Roman numerals, so I was like, NXIVM every time.
You're like,
dumb.
10, 4.
Right. Jesus. Okay, so to start out, NXIVM was branded as a multi-level marketing company that sold people on the opportunity to change their lives and create their own joy. Right? So it was just like this really nice program that people could get into, and it was just supposed to change everything about them, and it was really supposed to be a good thing. Great, right? It always starts out that way.
MLMs are never good, though.
So it wasn't like outwardly an MLM, right? It wasn't like, that's not how it seemed, or like how it was set up.
Okay. It was like low key, one of those sort of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you'll see more, like, I'll try to get into a little bit of how it was an MLM without getting like super deep, into it, but we'll see.
Okay.
They used large group awareness training, which is just like activities in big large groups that were there to like increase self-awareness and bring about like desirable transformations into people's lives. It was a recruiting platform for a secret society known as DOS. So that's like the segue into what DOS was, which is technically like, it's all bad, but DOS was like the main bad thing. It was founded by a guy named Keith Raniere. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
Anything about him? Okay. Founded by Keith Raniere, and Nancy Salzman was a co-founder. There was a couple other co-founders that are less important, but those are the two main people. It was like commercials and stuff with Nancy Salzman, like explaining all this like good stuff. She just sounded like a psychiatrist on steroids. Like, it was nutso. I want to say first, before I get too into it, Keith Raniere was actually part of, he ran a company called Consumers Byline Incorporated. And it was like a company that offered discounts to members on groceries and other products. And it was investigated as a pyramid scheme, and that was in 1990, in the 90s, right? And so in 1996, he signed a consent form denying any wrongdoing, but he paid a $40 $40,000 fine, and he had a permanent ban from any promoting, offering, or granting participation in a chain distribution scheme. So anything that was like a pyramid scheme or multi-level marketing, because that's the same fucking thing.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Then 2 years later, that was in 1996. 2 years later, in 1998, was when he founded this new company called NXIVM, right?
Okay.
So I think that's just a funny thing, because he was banned from doing this thing because it was obviously bad, and then he was like, let's do this instead. It's the same thing. Yeah. Well, not the same thing, but it was like, still.
No, I get
you. Yeah. So in this program, obviously he offered a range of success programs and techniques for self-improvement. It's basically like shitty life coaching that people paid a lot of money for. And he referred to himself as Vanguard, and Nancy Salzman was prefect. Vanguard, it comes from a video game where I guess the destruction of one's enemies increases one's power. That's like what the meaning of Vanguard is. And so he was the Vanguard, and Salzman was a prefect. Very weird. But I think it's like very equal to the whole like self-proclaimed prophet type of thing.
Yeah.
Just a different name.
He's the Vanguard.
Yeah. So by 2003, 3,700 people had taken part in these classes. notably Enron executive Stephen Cooper and Seagram, the liquor heiresses Claire and Sarah Bronfman, daughters to Edgar Bronfman Sr. So this whole thing was run by a bunch of people that Raniere kind of controlled. Like it started out probably small, like these little conference rooms with people, and he would preach, or Nancy would preach. He wouldn't really be as present as like Nancy Salzman, but they would basically, speak to these people, and these people would be super into it, and then they would recruit these people to be like leaders, and then they would have their own meetings and lead their own meetings. So Raniere didn't really have to do anything, right? He would basically he would show up here and there to like show his face, and like he would talk to people, and whatever. And he was weirdly like present at night. He really liked volleyball, so he had a lot of group things at volleyball, and he'd play volleyball with people, and then just like talk about life and like how their lives could be better and this and that, and it was really weird. The Ross Institute, they were one of the first ones to go after NXIVM. I'm not sure what year this was exactly, but they were the first ones to like go after them because they could clearly see that it was a weird thing. And they got one of the manuals from a former member, and then a psychiatrist at the Ross Institute, his assessment on it was like that it was basically a bunch of psychos just like saying stuff that appealed to people, and it was like a cult like thing. The NXIVM sued Ross for copyright infringement because they like posted the manual and stuff, and these were supposed to be like secret practices, like their own, like how people should run their programs. Two suits were filed, and both were thrown out based on the assessment being ruled as criticism and not a replacement for the original on the market. So, but that did not stop NXIVM from, they continually went after these people, like, and they tried to use blackmail and all kinds of things. It was just really bad. That was pretty much a common thing among people who left NXIVM. These are just some of the dates that I have that were like notable things happened. Because after this, a lot of it doesn't have dates matched to it. They happened kind of at different times throughout the thing. But in 2003, Forbes published an article referring to NXIVM as a cult, and Edgar Bronfman Sr., the dad to those two daughters, was worried about the emotional and financial investment made by his daughters. They opened up like a $2 million credit line for this company, just because they were members, and they were brainwashed themselves and gave them all this money just to do whatever they needed to do with. And so that was bad. That was in 2006 that they took out the $2 million credit line. That was repayable through personal training sessions and phone consultations with salesmen. So the daughters gave them $2 million for like free therapy, I guess. And like,
I mean, therapy's expensive.
That's true, but it's not good therapy. It's not like, you know what I mean?
Not real
like,
therapy.
Exactly. And many of the ventures they were advised on eventually ended up failing anyways, and so clearly they weren't getting like good advice, or it was bad. The daughters were also being used for their higher contacts to go after former members. That was how NXIVM like got their lawyers and all kinds of things to go after these members that were saying bad things about NXIVM. And now we get into some of the members. Do you know who Allison Mack is?
No.
The name of it. Apparently she's some kid actress, and she was like really, I don't know what things she acted in or whatever, but she had a super unhealthy relationship with Raniere. She looked at him like he was a god. Like she was like his right-hand woman, basically, next to Salzman. Allison Mack was one of the ones that was there till the very end. She's actually in jail right now for, I think she got 3 or 4 years, maybe. And you'll see why, because she was very notably present for a lot of stuff. But yeah, she had a really unhealthy relationship with Rhaenyra. She was super sick and super skinny. She was calorie counting because that was one of the things that the group taught you to do, because it was one of those things that you could control about yourself. And really, I think it was just the group trying to control them and make them hungry. Like you said in your last story, they were using starvation as like a type of control,
Yeah.
thing. But she was the head of this pyramid of women. So that's where it kind of gets into like a pyramid scheme, kind of, because there was like her at the top, and she had like 5 women that she would recruit, and these women would refer to her as master, right? And they had to be at her beck and call. Whenever she texted them, they had to be there. They always had to like check in. She would send them a question mark, and they would, I forget what I think they had to reply back RM, which meant ready master. It was really fucking weird. Yeah, it was bad. Like it's awful. And so these women would now recruit their own 5 women who would do the same for them, and it would just go down like that. So it was just like this pyramid of women, and it gets worse. It gets so much worse. And they're all calorie counting, they're all doing all these things. They're giving themselves self-punishments whenever they don't like complete a goal that they set for themselves, or if they ever like go off their path and things like that. Like it's pretty disgusting.
What kind of punishment?
Like they would make themselves sleep on the floor, or they would not eat for the day, or like have to run like 3 miles. Like it was like physical things, and it was it wasn't good for them though, because they were like constantly doing this, and they weren't eating. So running 3 miles after not having a meal for like 2 days is
not a good thing.
They would also have to ask their master if it was okay to eat stuff. Like they would be like, "Oh, master, is it okay if I eat 200 calories? Master, is it okay if I do this and that?" It was just gross. The last thing I'll say about Allison Mack was, well, it's not really about her per se, but I think I talk about this later too, but eventually, like, some of the people that left after they found out how fucked up this whole pyramid of women was they found out that Rhaenyra was actually at the top, like behind everything. Like Allison Mack called Rhaenyra her master, and that was like he was at the very, very top. Actually, what's the word? He was just making all this happen. He was kind of facilitating all this. What?
Was there also a guy section that had to ask if they could eat and had masters and stuff?
No, not exactly.
Fuckers.
There was a bunch of little groups within the company. Like once it got really, there was like a bunch of centers open by members, and there was all these different like these sashes that they had to wear depending on what level they were. And once you were a certain level, like you were running these centers. And one of the groups for men in this whole company was called SOP, which is the Society of Protectors. And that was the whole men's group. And it was like supposed to be about like masculinity and like it's okay to cry, but also you're masculine and stuff like that. So some of the things they had, like, that was the thing. It's like a lot of this had good intentions. Like the Society Protectors was all about like, like men, it's okay to, have feelings and emotions, and you're also masculine. So like that's a good, idea. But then like the way they went about, the way they went about it and stuff ended up being very toxic, and it's a very cult-like behavior. So we're moving on to another former member called Sarah Edmondson. She was one of the main ones that the documentary that I watched. She was one of the main ones talking. One of the main ones that got this thing shut down. But she was very involved in the beginning. And it wasn't like she was just very brainwashed, like, as a lot of people were, that it was a good thing and that it was changing her life. Like, most people that went through this company, like, their lives just got 100 times better. They just felt better about themselves, that kind of thing, at the beginning. And she was recruited into the company by a man called Mike Vicente. He was another guy in the documentary that left. Sarah Edmondson was like one of the, I don't know if she was one of the first ones that left. There was a couple other people that left before her, but she was one of the main ones that, like, was outwardly, like, displeased with this whole thing. She lived in Vancouver and she helped start a chapter there. She got very close to a woman by the name of Lauren I wonder why her last name was Salzman too. Her name was Lauren Salzman. Which is weird because the lady's Nancy Salzman. They never said they were related. I don't think. Not that I remember, but yeah. She got very close to Lauren Salzman, best friends. Lauren Salzman had already been a member before Sarah. So Sarah looked up to her a lot. She thought she was really, like, had her head on straight. She was going places. She was really cool. She taught all these workshops. She had joined about a decade prior in, like, 2007. Salzman was Sarah's master, right? She recruited Sarah into this group, not knowing that it was, like, Sarah didn't know it was bad, you know? She thought it was weird, the whole master thing, but she just thought it was part of the process, part of the thing. Like, I guess she questioned it, but she just went along with it at first, right? And so, Salzman had expressed to Sarah that she had something very exciting to share, and that's when she recruited Sarah into this group, and it was top secret. No one was to know about it. First red flag, I would say. If anything's secret like that, second red flag was that Sarah had to give Salzman collateral in order to join. Collateral being, like, nude photos and some information that if it were to get out, it would ruin Sarah's life. And this was collateral. This wasn't just, like, a one-time thing. Like, collateral was expected to be given whenever they asked for it. So
really,
Salzman, I think, was right under Allison Mack, and all this collateral was just getting funneled up to the top, which means Raniere was the one that was controlling all this collateral, even though he told multiple people that he wasn't involved, but he was definitely involved. They were told they had to do the collateral thing because they had to, like, overcome fears that were common among women, and it was all about submission and obedience, and it was really weird. So this is third red flag of this pyramid of women. Sarah was taken to Salzman's house, where she was put into a room and she was blindfolded. And the other women that were recruited under Salzman were all there with her. They were all naked. She took off her blindfold and she too was naked, like all her clothes had been taken. And then all these naked women were taken to Allison Mack's house for branding. They all got, yes, they had a doctor who was somehow compliant in this. And
was it an actual doctor? Like a medical doctor?
I have what kind of doctor she was. Doesn't sound dumb, but what's a bone doctor called?
Orthopedist?
What's there's like an osteo one or something.
You're thinking of like osteoporosis. That's a disease.
No, there is. Oh, whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyways, it was a doctor.
Orthopedic.
Yeah. It would probably, I don't have it written down like I thought I did. Maybe I have it later or something, but it was probably just, yeah. It was someone who had a
You don't
medical
mean a
degree.
chiropractor, do you?
No, I don't. No.
Okay.
They had an actual medical degree. Like, they went to medical
Okay.
school and stuff. But there was a brand made by Raniere and Allison Mack, and it was with a cottering device etched into these women's right by their vagina.
Of course. What
Yes.
was it?
This is so bad. I'm sorry.
Say it, please.
It's so bad. They didn't know this at first, and I don't think they were told what it was, but you could tell, they found out that it was a combination of Raniere's initials and Allison Mack's initials together onto a little brand. So it looked like, yeah, it was, and I don't have a picture of this or anything, but they do have pictures on like the one of the articles I read from the New York Times. They had a picture of the brand, and you can see where the initials are, and they showed it in the documentary. It's bad. They were sitting on a table for like 20 to 30 minutes. There were no anesthetic, so they were screaming, writhing in pain. There was like burnt flesh, smell everywhere. It was gross. And all the charges brought against the doctors were dismissed, stating she was not acting as Edmondson's doctor when the branding happened, which doesn't seem to make sense. But because she wasn't acting as her doctor,
so she still doesn't get like assault charges or anything?
She doesn't get any charges. No charges on the doctors were brought.
Okay, so just go get your MD. You could do whatever the fuck you want as long as you're not saying you're acting like a doctor.
Apparently. And this was so recent too. This was like within the last 5 years. That's what just fucking, or the last 10 years. This just blows my mind. Just little side note, this doesn't really, there's not much about this, but there was another affiliated physician that had reportedly ran an experiment on women where they showed graphically violent film clips while a brainwave mechanism and video camera recorded their actions. And he was also not charged with anything, even though that's a really fucked up thing to do. I guess it's just,
what would that crime be though?
I don't know, but it was fucked up. It's just because he was like an actual physician, and so I don't know. Very weird. I don't know what the experiments were for either. So I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, the state medical regulators declined to act on this complaint because there was no medical misconduct, and that was exactly what we're saying. Like, what's the crime? It's just super duper fucked up.
I mean, if he was doing experiments on people who didn't consent to having experiments done on them,
most likely they consented because they were all fucking like brainwashed into thinking they were doing something for good.
Technicalities.
Okay, we're just gonna, the last person that I'm gonna talk about, which is pretty much going to wrap up this whole fucked up thing. Her name is India Oxenberg. Her mother is Catherine Oxenberg. And weirdly enough, I just think this is a fun fact. Her mom, Catherine's mom, is a princess. Because there used to be like a monarchy of, I think it was Czechoslovakia, and they're no longer a monarchy, but they were part of the royal family. So just fun fact. It was weird. Yeah.
I like it.
But yeah, Catherine's daughter India was one of the women that was recruited into this pyramid, and she was really, really brainwashed. Like, she thought this was all good. She was getting really skinny, doing the calorie counting thing, getting really sick. She didn't want to believe anything that, like, Sarah and there was this other girl named Bonnie that was in the documentary, that they had all been involved in like this pyramid, and she didn't want to believe anything was wrong with it, right? So she was just involved this whole time, like all these complaints are coming out and stuff. She was super emaciated, and she had told her mom she hadn't had a period in like a year, and her hair was falling out. yet she didn't see anything wrong with it. Oh, they really got into these girls' heads, and it's really sad.
That is so fucked up.
She basically just said it was all character building. She was like, I'm building, myself up. Like, these are all things that have to happen to be a better me, whatever. It came out that she was sexually involved with Rhaenyra, and that was something that all these girls in this pyramid were getting groomed for, basically, was like having sex with Rhaenyra was part of it. Was all
was
part
that
of
like
it.
The end game?
Yeah, I believe that's what he wanted, right? He just wanted to have control over all these people, and he had all these different groups, like the Society of Protectors for Men. That was just a way to, like, I feel like, keep them busy, so they were doing something while he just had sex with all these women. He just wanted to control everybody. I was just watching, like, the last part of the documentary where I don't know exactly what happened. I know Rhaenyra is in jail now. I'm pretty sure he has a life sentence, so I'm pretty sure he'll be in jail for the rest of his life. Don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what was said in the article that I was reading. But yeah, that's the story of NXIVM and John Rhaenyra and Nancy Salzman, who was also in jail. I don't think she got as much of a sentence as he did, although she was very much involved. Like, she was, I don't know what her role in, like, maybe she didn't know, like, no, that she had to have known. She had to have known, because she was, like, at the top of the company. Yeah. I urge everyone to watch the documentary, The Vow. It's on HBO Max. Little free sponsor. But yeah, I would urge everyone to watch it, because there's a lot that I didn't talk about, and there's a lot more stuff that's really messed up. And you can see how he just, like, whittled away at these people and got into their heads, and just, like, at the beginning you could be like, okay, like, this guy, like, sounds like someone that knows what he's talking about, like, maybe he has some good ideas, but then you just realize that it's all very manipulative, and he definitely is just, yeah, it's bad.
Bad news bears.
Bad news bears. Very bad news bears. But that's it.
Well,
that was kind of a downer episode. Very sad
on a
stuff.
high note, I think we could take some things away from this. Like, it could be so easy to just, like, I don't know.
To get sucked into a cult, like, be wary of things that seem too good to be true. That's all I'm saying.
There we go. The life lessons from Kacie and Taylor. Don't join a cult.
Don't join a cult.
Keep your guard up.
For God's sake. If anyone tells you to start counting your calories, like, eat a hamburger. Like, don't count your calories.
Don't go to Guyana.
Don't go to
for
Guyana.
Some profit.
No.
Only for... Oh, God. I don't know what to say to wrap this up.
It was fun talking about cults, but we hope we didn't down your mood too much. Stay happy, guys. Oh no! Oh, I thought you were freezing again.
No.
Your thing, like, stopped for a second, then you kept going.
Oh. Good. Well, it was interesting nonetheless. I had fun.
We learned some things. We hope you learned some things too.
Hope you had fun. And
we will see you next time.